Good morning, Reds. It's Saturday all over the world. What a week of football we had. What a week of confusion on the pitch and off the pitch. We're talking about the transfer news. We're talking about the England captaincy. We're talking about Thomas Tuchel being appointed as the latest man by München. And of course, Nagelsmann being sacked for no reason at all. It's been crazy. I'm just sipping on my Java, thinking, oh my God. And not even to mention the transpiring of the takeover. That's been absolutely a bag of shit show in the media and the press, spinning the plates more than a mad DJ on certain substance, spinning it left, right, center, confusing the fan base. So if you're like me, put your hand up to say that, you've been dizzy, right? And therefore, we are here to give you the motion sickness pill to just calm down a little bit, The takeover process has kind of been entering to the final stages, as we've seen transpire, that there was kind of a deadline set by a type of expectations by media by 9 p.m. Wednesday. And there was report coming out from Sky Sports and Qavi and everything else to say that, bits has gone in from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, bits has gone in from Ineos. There's a minimum 8 other investors involved, for a minority stakeholders. And then you had that guy from Finland coming out and say that he's also bidder. We're going to look at all of that jazz, and we're going to debunk it to really, really understand where we stand today on this Saturday, people, right? There was a statement from Ineos spokesperson that came out on Thursday to say that, hey, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, or Sir Ineos, as we can call him right now, has confirmed that there has been a revised bid put in, and both Ratcliffe and Sheik Jaseem has actually, forced to request an extension. Yeah, that was an extension. Business as usual, according to my opinion. But it begs the question, has the media outlets been outed for not really understand what's going on here, right? Because anyone that's sort of versed enough to understand, if it's not a public sale, it is a private sale with NDA, the only person that will understand or know the value of which bids has gone in and out is actually the Rain Group. So what are the press doing? Well, clear and obviously, if we look at the British press, they've kind of been used to getting fed by a certain type of people within the Manchester United club. But the question is, do they know within the club, the ones that are getting information from this is an NDA, and there is a certain type of people only involved in the sales bidding process, right? Is it Chinese whispers? Is it clickbait? Of course, according to my opinion, it is, because it's just the biggest scoop of the century. Manchester United is the biggest club, in the world, and everyone is kind of looking to be the first. But are you missing the point? The point is the club is getting sold. For me, personally, it's always been green and gold until we're sold. So keep the pressure on people. Keep the pressure on. Take that motion sickness pill and don't believe a word what's coming out. Take a similarity like the transfer window. It's not over until you see them signing the document, holding up the United jersey, and it's been announced by the club through a statement or a press conference. Anything else, it is just BS, according to my opinion. And you might ask the question, why do you think so, Mick? Well, if it is a secrecy, how would it be so? There's certain accounts on Twitter and social media and some press have that access, direct access. Impossible. Share impossible. Are they the ones that setting the deadlines, expectations? Perhaps. Are they the ones that are kind of pushed by the chief editorial to generate volumes of clicks? Because remember, at the end of the day, they also make money. But the ones that are hurt in this instance is the fragile PTSD, Manchester United global fan base all around the world, because I understand you constantly checking your phone like this every minute, every hour. Is there any updates? Even I get DMs, any news. Like, we are not really plugged into a matrix to get shared information every second, every hour. That is just not the way it's working, right? So I hope we can debunk that, right? Because there's been a lot of things spinning around. Like, if we take a review from the beginning of the week, right? There's been reports that, first and foremost, I want to say this, don't let fear and emotion clog your judgment. Just put your logic hat on, sit back, relax, and just analyze everything that's been said. Now, fear to me, and I speak for the entire fan base, it's that the Glazers are looking for a dance partner. Glazers are looking to stay on. They always wanted, right? Glazers own 69% of the shareholders. Glazers' family has 6 siblings, where, if you look at it in a logical way, 33% of those shares is owned by Avram and Joel. Now, what about the rest? It has to be a consensus that all of them needs to sell, right? So if you have 33% of the family shares, you have no voting power, right? And everyone else wants to cash in. It's clear and obvious, and that is why they've been running this process all along. It must have been going on for at least 7 months, because to run out a massive tender process in the course period of 3 to 4 times, it is not the way it works. According to my opinion, this started already in the fall 2022. And what we're seeing now is the media is catching up on something that's been missing, right? I believe that we are already in the final crescendo. I believe that there will not be a third round. I believe that there will be an exclusive announcement who is the winning bid, because this is what Ratings Group has been doing. We all know that the Glazers are greedy bastards. We all know that they will walk away with 6 billion, if that's the case, in the coffers. Going back in 17, 18 years ago, they bought the club on leverage buyout, meaning they took a loan to buy the club, and ever since then they have not invested one single thing, because they have been using Bank of America, which is the Manchester United PLC major bank, as credit rollers. And that credit, which Bank of America is profiting on, is called something bonds, right? So you can imagine, over the years, the Bank of America has been giving the crazy Glazers, the bad business owner, leverage all the time by, hey, I loaned you more money, because that's going to pile up on the pile of the bond, right? And when you do sell the club, you actually sell the bond as well. So Bank of America will also profit on that bond. Does that make any sense to you, right? Take a deep breath, think about it, because that really does make sense, right? So why do you think that any sound investment or hedge fund like Elliott will go in and offer finances to bad business owners like the Glazers? If you already been there, you lifted up the hood, you saw how the club has been run, it's been a shit show in terms of finances. You are in more debt than you're actually generating, and your back is against the wall. The FFP rule is against you. You have generated bad press in the publicity. There is no way you can stay, or is there any sound? I mean, this is sheer madness that somebody will invest in a bad business owner that cannot really hold the cash, right? At the end of the day, if somebody slaps 6 billion on the table, the Glazer family will walk away, right? It's 6 billion. That is like, wow, 1 billion each in each pocket. And it's tax free, because the company is registered in Cayman Island as a PLC. Now, let's just debunk that. Let's throw it in a bin, because I don't believe that that's going to happen. It's not possible to be happening, right? Now, you've been seeing a slugfest basically between a particular 2 groups that media has been reporting about, because they've chosen to go public. And fair play, right? Why would they go out and show the hand? It's a gamemanship. Like, that's why you probably saw they're asking for extension. They don't like this shadow bidding war. They don't like the way, the American system of bidding war, like, created by the Rainier Group. They simply waited for the other person's hand. Right? On Thursday, it was reported that Sir Jim actually through what we alluded before, the spokesperson has actually submitted the bid, and nothing yet from the Qatari group or Sheik Jaseem. Right, so they created a little bit of a confusion. 𝒂𝒏 at Sky Sports said that they had. 30 minutes out, they came out and said they haven't, and it's just been like, you know, dizzy, right? You get my point. But we are coming to the final crescendo, because yesterday, Sportico, which came out with a news that they have actually put in a bid for 6 billion, and that was followed up later on by the Express. So bids are in for Sheik Jaseem, and that is believed to be the highest bid as we stand at the moment. And I believe that is the bid that the Glazer family will accept to walk away, because they always said the target for them to walk away is what they want is 6 billion. Now, that is 6 billion more what they actually deserve, according to my opinion. And the winner in this case will be the Glazer family. But stop. You know, in the long run, with the new owners, we as Manchester United fan, as a club, will be the winners in terms of clearing the debt, supporting the sporting vision, create a new infrastructure, even build a new stadium. There's a lot of things that we will benefit from in the long run. Now, another thing that I also want to mention is the xenophobic stuff being created by a certain particular group of journalists. That is kind of for me to say that they are scared, right? They know what's coming. They know that the sleeping giant is kind of woken up. The new owners with the sound business owner, because remember, Manchester United on the stock exchange is not listed as a football club. It is a business, and it's been treated as a business. But coming back to what I said, that any journalist is now printing that about sports washing, about human rights issue, I get that. But sports washing, Manchester United don't need sports washing. We have our football operation is generating more than enough for us to be sustainable, right? We have the biggest revenue almost in the world. All we need is a sugar daddy with deep pockets to come in and support us the first 3, 4, 5 years to clear, to support us, because we've been 17 years behind in Old Trafford and all the training ground. We need a little bit of a money, cash injection to do so, while we are still generating our money from the TV rights and everything, without anyone taking that money out as dividends, if you know what I mean. So for me, let me just share this article just as we're speaking now. I'm getting DMs and DMs. This is a morning show. I'm having my morning coffee brew. Let me just pull up a article that I was just reading now, because at the end of the day, like yesterday, I was doing takeaway watch along on Spaces, where we were following certain things, and I will dive into that later on. But let me just share a screen. Let me share that article, what I've been seeing. Bear with me, bad boys, come with me. All right, right, just to confirm, because this, my friends, this article, right. All right, let's dive into it, because yesterday we did a watch along on Spaces. There would be hours, several Manchester United fans all over the world, and we were watching the stock market and seeing if there was any spikes in if somebody's buying up large volumes of shares. That means that there is some movement, and and behold, there was approximately 5% of the Manchester United PLC stocks were traded yesterday. There was a record where you saw the spikes of the share going up to $25 per share. Now, this came out then yesterday by Alex Turk and the Express, but he was the one that secondly confirmed Sportico's article. And by the way, Sportico was the one that first broke that the Chelsea was sold to the Bowley Group, right? So Sportico clearly has some great connections within the Rain Group, right? This was then confirmed by Alex Turk to say that Manchester United takeover edges closer and Sheik Jaseem meets the 6 billion valuation after Glazer talks. Remember, 6 billion is always the money that Glazers were looking at. This is kind of like the release clause, if you look at sort of a similarity or an analogy in the transfer market. Somebody wants to trigger 6 billion, there you go. The business is yours, right? The article by Turk says the Sheikh Jaseem bin Ahmed Kahani has reported to match Glazer family's asking price with his second bid to buy Manchester United. Remember, this was yesterday on this recording Friday. The Qatari banker is speculated to have blown, I repeat, blown Sir Jim Ratcliffe and other rivals out of the water as a world record takeover edges closer. That this kind of, for me, kind of debunks why they asked for extension, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe showed his hand first. The latest one to come in on Friday was Sheikh Jaseem with 6 billion. It's believed that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was offering 5 billion on the table. 5 billion on the table, right? This is according to Sportico. Sir Ineos, I call Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Sir Ineos, has submitted a second offer for 5 billion, an increase of 4.3 billion initial that he offered, right? So let that sink in, and you know what? That is kind of funny the way it works, right? Because we are here to sort of put our logic hats on, right? And to understand that the media has been spinning absolutely crazy. When you are in a tender process and you really want to win the crown jewel of English football, the club that sits currently on the fourth richest club on the Forbes evaluation list, you got to ask the question, right? If you are a Qatar with deep endless pockets, what is the purpose of you having it, right? Simply, it's the post World Cup, syndrome that they got a bloody tooth. They won, so they invested already so much money. I think it's billions into the World Cup. They built a lot of stadiums, they built railways, and they want to continue doing so. And Manchester United is a great PR tool, right? You can argue sports washing and all that, but we, Manchester United, don't really care. All we care about is to get the Glazers out. And then you look at Sir Jim Ratcliffe, right? Reports coming out that Sir Jim could not do this by himself, so therefore he might have gone with Elliott Group to offer fundings. But barring in the current financial market, where we see like credit banks falling, like Credit Bank Swiss, like the Deutsche Bank is the latest on the list. Who would go to do that risk? I mean, somebody must have done the risk analysis and say, this is not worth it. Jim, hold your horses. 5 billion is enough, right? We're heading towards a financial recession. Banks are going to collapse. It's not a good time to invest. Put your money where your mouth is, and that is the fracking industry. Because we saw articles, transpire over this week that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has gone to US, that he didn't have presence to win a tender bid to supply fracking services, Sir Ineos. And that bars the question, was he utilizing Manchester United bidding process to get his name known amongst the financial investors in the US? Plausibly, yes. But that doesn't matter right now. What matters is where we stand, where are we going, right? And another thing that was a little bit laughable was this person that nobody heard before, this Finnish investor, Thomas Silly, or whatever his name, I really call him Silly, came up with a statement to say that I am willing to go in 3 billion on my own pockets, and the rest should be fans investing through my app that I'm developing, and yada yada yada. Yeah, there should be a fan-based consortium. Yeah, you're selling a pipe dream that everyone wants. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, how long is that going to take? If you put in 3 billion, right, and you expect, let's see the maths. You expect, let's say, 1 billion fans to put in $3 to meet the valuation. How long is that going to take? I mean, for me, that was a pure hoax. But anyway, let's just. Well, actually, I can actually play the video like that. That was. Oh, yeah. Another thing, like I do respect the United stand as a fellow content creator, but this for me was a little bit strange, as Thomas Zelinsky.
The club that they walk away with, a billion or two on top of what the club really is worth because we are outbidding each other's.
That is correct. If Glazers are walking away with 6 billion, that is not correct because they didn't invest jack shit, to be honest. But listen to his rant here. Listen to, and we're going to dissect what he's actually saying, because part of that initial conversation was to say that that's not part of this clip, that he was saying that, you know, part of the reason is also about you have a lot of investors not from Europe that don't understand European football, treating and buying clubs as their own toy. Now, for me, that is a little bit of a walking through a dangerous line of xenophobia. You know, you have a lot of foreign ownership that are successful in owning football clubs, and yeah, you know what I mean. But let's continue watching this and have a little bit laugh or take it seriously.
So why don't we join forces? We make a decent offer to the current owners based on what the club really is worth, and all of us thereby save 2/3 of what we would have been willing to pay. That 2/3, which then represents, I don't know, anything between 6 and 10 billion, that money could be used for the benefit of the club. And like I said, for me to share ownership with the two other main competitors, I don't see anything negative in that. On the contrary,
Of course, you, Thomas, you don't see any negative of that, because you know you get a lot of exposure by doing so. But you know, look at it from a football operational side. You know, to have co-ownership, what you're proposing is similar to what Todd Bowley did with Chelsea. How's that working? Let's continue watching this.
because none of us is doing this to earn a lot of money. We are doing this because we love the club.
Excuse me. None of us is doing this to earn money. We're doing this for the love of the club. That is sheer bullshit, right? You, sorry, calling a spade, right? So, yeah, if you're Sir Jim Ratcliffe, if you are yourself, right, you're there to earn money in the long run, you know, because you're private investors, you're private owners. If you look at the likes of any Middle Eastern owner, they're not looking to make any money. They're looking to use this as a PR tool, what everyone knows. But anyway, let's continue.
So with three main shareholders who love the club and who are willing to do what the club needs, I think that would be a perfect situation for the club, for the fans, and for the players.
Yeah, it might be a perfect situation for the club and the players. It's always been a dream that you have a certain percent of fan ownership. But if you look at it, nobody in the Premier League has this model. Yeah, you have a presidential voting right where you have fan-based ownership in La Liga, in Spain, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich, but it's a totally different league. You know, Premier League is big enough to generate revenue. So yeah, there might be a certain percentage to have a fan-based ownership. But let's continue. Like it's just my opinions, right?
So you have reached out to these parties, but I'm assuming you've not heard back yet.
Unfortunately, I haven't heard back yet. And look, I mean, maybe they don't share my vision. Maybe they do want to be the only owner. But I must say that
No shit, they haven't returned back. So why would they go into a three horse ownership race? Like, to be honest, you know, this is just sheer complication for me. Like, you know, if you have a consortium where you have three different investors and owners with different voting rights, you will never get to a winning ways. There will always be conflicts of interest, voting. It will be like a political party, like a Congress. You know, you need to pass the bill. So yeah, thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Mr. Silly. That was a great hoax from your side, and thank you for appearing on a fan-based channel to, you know, get more publicity about yourself, guys. It is crazy times. It is everything that we can imagine it to be. But at the end of the day, just hold your powder dry and let it transpire. Make your popcorn. It's weekend. Enjoy yourself and let things play its course, right? Don't believe in the hypes and the media spin. I understand that you want to know everything that's going on every single day, every single minute. But at the end of the day, does it really matter? We know who's in the race. We know that the winning bid right now is on 6 billion. The facts that I presented here is kind of logical. It might be controversial, but all I'm saying is, for me, it's all about protecting the badge. You know, protecting the fan base as a global fan base. We don't want to get hurt, but we can certainly scrutinize each bidder and each winner in this bid, in this race. You know, once it's done. Yeah, it's not over until the contract is signed and been announced. You know, if it's, you know, a Qatari ownership, if it might be a Dubai ownership, if it might be a US ownership, we will find out. But not certainly from the sports journalists, because they are sports journalists for a certain reason. I'm more looking at things coming up from Bloomberg. I'm looking at coming up from Forbes, Financial Times. I'm looking at the stock market as well in terms of spikes and curves, because that is realistic science, right? Guys, stay beautiful to each other. Be nice to each other on the social. It's Saturday. Please relax. I'm sure you will not hear any more transfer updates since it's Ramadan. It's weekend. Happy Ramadan for all you Muslims out there. Ramadan Kareem, and be nice to each other on socials. This is Mick Ruby from Mufc Realist TV with a morning update show or reflection with a cup of Java. Guys, like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Peace. Salam.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching Mufc Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.